People always talk about the scene in Mean Girls where the coach says,
"Don't have sex, because you will get pregnant and die."
And unfortunately, that's kind of what's going on in Gwinnett County.
Anything with the word sex in it is seen as taboo.
The sex ed that I experienced was shaming, misogynistic.
Most parents don't know that crisis pregnancy centers are coming into public schools and teaching their children sex education.
A lot of us grow up within the church, and church is not just something that we go to on Sundays, it's our community.
Religion and church is such an ingrained part of life in the South. Those lines often get blurred.
As someone who's been teaching sex ed for a long time, people often think about sexuality as something you just kind of pick up as you go. But that assumption that we have, that we don't need to talk about sex, people will just figure it out, kind of sets people up to have negative health outcomes. So what your regular layperson would say are just shitty situations.
Being someone who was sexually abused, going into sex ed, I don't want to be dramatic and say horrific, but it really was horrific. During the lessons, the teacher said, "See, this is what happens when you get used up. You stop working." And having lost my virginity, having been abused, I thought, oh my gosh, like I'm used up. I don't work anymore.
They don't call it a Virginity Pledge anymore, they call it a Freedom Pledge. The implication, of course, being that if you are not a virgin, then you're incapable of having a healthy relationship or working towards a goal or, being in control of your life. This is a really nasty message.
Consent wasn't in my vocabulary, but that wasn't the only thing that wasn't in my vocabulary. Boundaries were not in my vocabulary. I didn't know that if I felt uncomfortable about a situation that I was able to say no. My first relationship was not necessarily the most healthy relationship a 14-year-old girl could have experienced. I was pressured into doing a lot of physical things. I remember sitting in class feeling very ashamed, feeling very dirty.
I can teach somebody how to put on a condom correctly, but if I haven't taught them how to talk to their partner about whether or not they want to use condoms, if I haven't taught them what other methods are available and why they might want to choose them, and if I haven't taught them how to check in with themselves about what they're comfortable or not comfortable with, I haven't really helped them.
The exercise that sticks out in my mind the most is our health teacher. He had us all suck on Jolly Ranchers. He had a plastic bag being passed around and we had to take the Jolly Rancher out of our mouth and put it in the bag, and then he said, "Okay, now eat a Jolly Rancher." And everyone was like, "Ew, like nobody wants to eat a Jolly Rancher." And he said, "Yeah, well imagine if that's a woman's vagina." I left those lessons thinking that I was worthless.
That was sort of the beginning of the movement, if you will. I'm the co-founder of Gwinnett Citizens for Comprehensive Sex Education. GCCSE is an organization that we founded in order to attempt to change the sex ed curriculum.
GCSE is not only what is best for our kids, it is what this community does.
In Gwinnett County, our curriculum is an abstinence-only curriculum and leaves out medically accurate and scientifically accurate information that we feel kids need to be safe. The next step was changing the curriculum. Our goal was to have 10 young ladies who had gone through this curriculum speak to the school board directly. The school board is 100% white and all over the age of 65. We have people making decisions for our kids that don't represent them well.
Having been abused, I left those lessons thinking that I was worthless and I was useless and this was somehow my fault. The lessons were a huge contributing factor of why I kept quiet with my abuse for 10 years.
I had lower expectations going up to the podium. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. But once I was up there, I thought maybe some of the school board members would have been more open to a dialogue, and there was none of that.
From there, it kind of went downhill.
I had sex for the first time. But no worries, it wasn't vaginal sex. It was anal. Because my boyfriend learned from his schooling that it's vaginal sex that means you're pregnant. And if I got pregnant, my life was over.
I don't know if you guys have seen the picture of Dr. Christine Ford testified in front of the Judiciary Committee. I related a bit to how she might have felt just a little bit and not seeing anyone that looked like me. I knew that no one understood.
The 12 years in Gwinnett County Public Schools taught me that once I lost my virginity, I was nothing. For me, it's been a long journey, but each of you has the opportunity to be part of a solution. I really wish I wasn't up here right now.
Nothing at all has changed. If anything, they have dug their heels in more.
On a broader level, it's certainly a big part of our national conversation about consent, sexual assault, and the Me Too movement. What can we do about Me Too? How can we resolve the situation? And my answer is comprehensive K-12 sex education.
A lot of these kids don't know where the line is, and they don't know how to talk about it. They don't know how to say that they don't know. This is a serious problem. There are 8 states in the United States who require that consent even be mentioned in sex ed.
Comprehensive sex ed isn't just a pipe dream. This curriculum actually changes people's lives for the better.
I think Georgia should mandate schools to have comprehensive sex education, because if I had comprehensive sex ed, I think a lot of things would have been different.
And I don't even think comprehensive sex education should be a controversial topic, because it's about learning about yourself and loving yourself, seeing and loving yourself as God loves you. So if one person is able to not experience some of these experiences that I have had in my life, then that's really enough for me.